Recognize Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Santos, for being here with us today. The U.S. Census Bureau carries out the important constitutional duty of conducting the decennial census as required in Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution, as you very well know. The census has far-ranging consequences, determining the apportionment of congressional seats, electoral college votes states receive, and the flow of hundreds of billions of dollars in federal funding to states and localities. The Census Bureau's post-enumeration survey for the 2020 census identified serious over and under counting issues, which the Bureau has acknowledged are worse than previous censuses. Even more troubling, the Census Bureau's report acknowledges a statistically significant overcount in liberal Northeast states and a statistically significant undercount in conservative Southern states. The 1790 Census Act, which the left likes to use as an excuse to count illegals and residents and whatever the heck you want to call people in this country who aren't citizens, that women were counted, but they couldn't vote. No, they couldn't vote, but women were citizens of the United States. So the left, that's their reasoning for counting illegals in the census and that sort of thing. So I have a series of questions for you, Mr. Santos, that are yes or no. And so I would ask that you use yes or no when I ask these questions. Did the U.S. Census Bureau do anything to identify the immigration or citizenship status of individuals surveyed during the 2020 census, yes or no?
No.
Are illegals counted in the census, yes or no?
Yes, if they're permanent residents, if they reside in the U.S.
Okay, so when you're doing the census with folks and asking the question, you're asking them if, you're not asking them if they're a citizen, you're asking, do you ask if they're a permanent resident?
We ask folks to list everyone who lives at that residence.
Okay, but you're saying you're only counting illegals if they're a permanent resident.
Well, if they live at that residence. It's the interpretation of the instructions
So your definition
of the person.
of permanent residence is that they live at a place in the U.S., at a U.S. address.
Yes, I believe I misspoke because there's a legal definition to permanent.
Misspoke.
Yeah, to permanent
Okay.
resident. It's someone who usually lives at that address.
So I'm going to ask the question again. Are illegal aliens, criminal illegal aliens, the people that break the law coming into our country when they enter in the door illegally, are they counted in the U.S. Census, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Are there political implications for congressional apportionment and the Electoral College when we're counting non-citizens, when we're counting illegals, criminal illegal aliens in the census, yes or no?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question.
Are there political implications for congressional apportionment and the Electoral College when you are counting criminal illegal aliens in the U.S. Census?
I do not know.
Oh, you absolutely know. Because apportionment is based on what? Is it based on what? Population?
Yes.
Population based on counts in the what? U.S. Census?
Correct.
All right. You're the director of the U.S. Census Bureau, correct?
Correct.
Why is this so difficult for you to answer honestly?
Well, no, it is what it is. So if there's more population,
what is
then
what it
you
is?
get.
You just said you didn't know if there were political implications for congressional apportionment in the Electoral College when you're counting illegals.
In all honesty, I am not a politician. I'm a scientist, and so we do our counts according to the Constitution.
Mr. Science.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
When you're doing apportionment, when you're doing congressional seats based on population that includes illegal aliens, does that have a political impact in campaigns when you're drawing those lines and having people vote in those elections?
They are counted in apportionment, yes.
Okay. You're not being honest this morning, and I think it's a slap in the face to the American people. If apportionment of congressional seats is based on the census and roughly 750,000 people per congressional seat in this country, would that unfairly impact how congressional seats are drawn, yes or no?
I'm sorry, you're speaking too fast for me. Can you slow down a little bit?
No, I can't. The answer is yes. In California, in Valadeo's district, where 750,000 people live in that district, 167,000 people voted in that election. I would imagine, and number one, Gavin Newsom's probably still counting because the guy can't do math 3 weeks, 4 weeks into post an election, but 167,000 people out of 750,000 population. In my district, 390,000 people voted. We don't have the number of illegals that California has statistically scientifically, Mr. Science. That's just the math. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Crockett from Texas.